Alright guys, got a Kia here. Go ahead and get the scanner. 2019 Kia Sorento. They just got back from the dealer because apparently the car's still under warranty. So of course the engine started misfiring and they said it's like shaking pretty bad. So they figured it's under warranty, take it back to the dealer, they'll fix it, right? Well, nope. Dealer tell them go kick rocks because this type of problem is not covered under the warranty. And the dealer wants to charge them $1,300 to do a tune-up and replace obviously the spark plugs and replace all of the ignition coils. $1,300. So they were like, yeah, no. So they called me. They're actually my neighbors. It's why they contacted me. And let's go ahead, start her up, see how bad she's misfiring. Now before I actually start the engine, let's go ahead and check for any DTCs. And we'll see if we have a misfire counter so we could try to pinpoint which cylinder is misfiring, or if we have multiple. Sorry guys, you may hear my voice trembling. It's raining outside, it's cold outside, you know. All I got is a sweater on. I don't want to be out here doing this. All right, let's do a full health report. All right, so the full system scan is complete, and as you can see, we only have one misfire. Cylinder 6 misfire detected. I know it's a 3.3 liter V6. I'm gonna assume number 6 is underneath the intake manifold. I'm not sure how this car is laid out. Let me do a quick Google search and see the cylinder numbers for this car. Okay, so number 6 is gonna be on the driver's side, so the left side of the vehicle and towards the rear of the engine. I don't know yet if this car has the intake manifold covering that specific cylinder. We're about to find out. But you know, before I actually started, let's see if we could find a misfire counter and see if it's actively counting up. All right, so I think I found the correct thing. On here it's listed as total counter of emission relevant misfiring of cylinders. So you could see I got 1 through 6. Now we could actually go ahead and start up the engine. Honestly, just feeling what the car feels like sitting inside of it, I don't even feel a misfire right now. I'm gonna try revving it up. Yep, not feeling anything. When the owner dropped it off, she said it was bucking and shaking like crazy. Alright guys, it started to misfire when I got hard on the accelerator pedal, and it's actually misfiring right now. And if we look at the scanner, number 6 is the only one counting up. You can see it says, what is that, 68? So yeah, it seems like light throttle. It wasn't really doing anything until I got on it pretty heavy, but it is consistent. Only number 6. Now we're gonna pull it into the garage and we'll see if that specific cylinder is being covered by the intake manifold. And for anyone who's wondering, it has 84,000 miles on it. Let's go ahead and pull off these silly covers they put on here. Should just pop straight up. Uh-oh. The hatch opened up. This is why it's not a good idea to keep the key fob in your pocket when you're working on the car, because had my garage door been closed, that would have definitely hit the garage door. Ugh. Once in a while, stupid things like this happen. Go ahead and, yeah, you can see that's past the garage. That would have definitely whacked it. The garage door I don't give a crap about, but I don't want to damage someone's car, you know what I mean? So we'll go ahead and hang up the key right here to not have another accident. So I just got this cover off. Like I said, it just pulls straight up. We'll put that off to the side for now. And just as I suspected, cylinder number 6 is completely covered by the intake manifold. So that sucks. You could see the 3 in front. Hold on, wait a minute. The pictures I was looking at was showing the front of the engine, which is this. So does that mean this is number 6? Let me do some more research. So yeah, the pictures I could see online, it appears that they're all showing the image from the front of the engine. So that would make that one number 6. But just to confirm, I got my scanner connected once again. We're going to go ahead and start up the engine, and I'm going to unplug what I suspect is number 6 coil, and that should start counting up misfires. So let's go ahead and run that simple little test. No counters on any of the misfires right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this coil. And there we go, number 6 counting up. And I'm gonna go ahead and plug the coil back in. And back to running smooth. So that confirms this is number 6, guys. This car does not need $1,300 of repair. We're gonna go ahead, inspect the spark plug, and most likely put a brand new coil in it. If the spark plug looks like it's gunked up, because we all know these Kias and Hyundais have oil burning problems where it just completely gunked up the spark plug. If that's what I'm noticing on these front 3 spark plugs, then yes, I would recommend doing all 6. But if it turns out to be a coil issue, that is perfect. It would save the customer so much money. You get what I'm saying? So I got the coil removed. The good news is there's no oil inside of here. Let me turn on the light. You can see it's nice and dry. You know, I will admit this is my first time taking apart like one of these, but this looks really weird right here. You know what I mean? Such a short piece of rubber and the spring is right there. That looks really odd. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one just to compare it. If they look identical, then I'm just gonna assume that's normal. Like I said, everything has been stock on this car. This car hasn't been touched by anyone since they bought it brand new. All right, guys, so moment of truth. I got the bolt off of the coil right here in the center. I am noticing that this coil came out super easy, just like practically fell out. This one's putting up pretty good fight to get it out of here. Here it goes. I caught it, guys. I'm like, you know, it's my first time taking apart one of these, you know, working on this engine. But I know when I see something that doesn't look right. I knew that looked odd. So this is what it's supposed to look like. And this is what we got going on here. Now, here's the thing. Whatever. The boot is torn, right? It's ripped. Whatever. The other half should be inside of there, right? It's not. Guys, things don't disappear by themselves. So this is what happened. This boot tore open, right? It was misfiring because of that torn boot. It goes to the dealer. The technician takes apart coil number 6. He probably, or we know he fished out the broken part that was stuck around the spark plug because there's no other way for it to disappear. You get what I'm saying? And then when the job was denied, that the customer said, I'm not paying $1,300 to do this job, he grabbed the coil and just popped it right back on there. And of course, I wouldn't expect anyone to put on the broken piece of boot. You know, that would be crazy to put that on. I would have done the same thing to put this thing directly on the way it is. The problem is at that point, okay, the customer turns the job down, but be upfront and say, hey, it needs an ignition coil. Unless you could get these boots. If you could get these boots, it's probably a perfectly fine working coil. Now, would I take that chance? I don't know. I feel like I really don't want to come back and to play it safe, just buy a new coil. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm like 98% sure this torn boot or missing boot is what's causing a misfire. But I would hate to, you know, get a hold of one of these boots, put it on there, and then find out there's still a little fish bite misfire, or when the coil heats up, it starts to act up, and then we have an unhappy customer, and all of a sudden they don't believe in you and they no longer have any trust in you. You get what I'm saying? So the right thing to do here is just replace the coil. And I guarantee you that's what happened. The technician, you know, fished out that piece that was stuck on top of the spark plug. And then, you know, once the job was turned down, he just put the coil back on it and sent it. So this is really good news for the owner of the vehicle because they are going to get their car fixed. I can't even say for a fraction of the price. It's going to be less than that. It's going to be dirt cheap, guys. You know, I can't charge a lot for this. I'd be like, I don't know, buy me number 11 at Jimmy John's. Don't leave a comment saying number 6 at McDonald's. This, I have no idea what it is. I chose a random number. Okay. Point is, I'm not gonna charge a lot. They're my neighbors. They're like friends. You get what I'm saying? The guys come over here. He works on garage doors for a living, and he has fixed my garage door when it broke. Just for proof of concept, what I want to do is I'm gonna put this stuff back together only because it's super easy. But I'm actually gonna put the let's call it defective coil in the center, and this one over here. We'll just switch them around. And now I'm debating if I should even pull out the spark plugs and inspect them.
Girl, don't do it. It's not worth it. I'm not gonna do it, girl. I did it.
Alright guys, so here goes the spark plug for number 6. And the business end looks damn near perfect. I don't see excessive burning of oil or anything. That looks really good. I'm happy with this. It's a NGK spark plug. I know it's hard to focus. You can see it right there. And you see the light browning at the base of the ceramic right there. It tells me that these spark plugs have been in here a while, indicating that they are OEM original spark plugs. And I see no problem with this spark plug. So I'm going to put in, like I said, guys, I'm like 99.9% right now that this is our problem. And it's going to be a really easy fix. You know, it's a holiday. It's a Christmas miracle. Christmas just passed, guys. Today's actually New Year's Eve. You know, I was just thinking of is that, you know, at the dealer, you know, the technicians have an abundance of old ignition coils just sitting around. You know, why wouldn't they just take one of the old coils that they have and just put, or not the coil, the boot, and just transfer it over to this coil? Come on now, you work at the dealer. I know you have old used coils laying around, because when a car comes in for a bad transmission, oh, needs new coils. Come in for an oil change, needs new coils. Come in because there's a recall, oh, needs new coils. I know they have an abundance of ignition coils just sitting around. It wouldn't have cost them anything to just take an old boot off of a, even if it was a bad one, take the old boot off, transfer it over. But here's the thing, it's a business, okay? They can't just fix your car and not charge you anything. So if this technician, and I'm sure it's against policy, they're not supposed to do stuff like this. I get it, guys. I know I'm gonna get a bunch of comments. I'm just saying is that put your tinfoil caps on, okay? You know, at the dealer, such a simple repair like this, if they did it and said, nah, you know what, don't worry about it, it's on us, your car's all fixed, it was that. No, they don't want that. They want that $1,300 repair. They really want that money. They don't care how simple the repair really is and how deceptive it is that they are being to their customers. They don't care. They want that money. And I'm sure the technicians are not allowed to say, hey, you know what, I got one of these rubber boots just sitting right here in my cart somewhere, and I could easily put it on this coil and fix this car. But I'm sure they're not allowed to do that because of rules and regulations. I get it, okay? That's just the industry and how it is, guys. I know it's crappy, but that's just something that I was thinking about, and it just really kind of sucks, you know what I mean? So everything is put back together, and I put an X on the one that's having the issue. I did end up putting it in the center cylinder right here, because what I want to do now is take it for a test drive and just confirm that the misfire is no longer on number 6 and it's now on this center cylinder, which I don't know which one it is. It could be number 3 maybe. The point is, we want to see the misfire follow where we put the coil, and if it does, it's a done deal, guys. We are at like 99%, and if it follows this coil into the new cylinder, then we are at 100%. Okay, I got the scanner right here in my crotch, so I'll just keep you guys pointing down here, no peeking. All right, I see you guys out there, I know. All right, so I'm just gonna drive. This car has tints and I can't see crap out the windows. All right, so I'm just gonna, yeah, I can feel it misfiring right there. All right, I'm gonna get back on it again. And there goes misfiring. I'm sure you guys can see the numbers counting up on cylinder 4. It's a done deal, guys. There's no sense in beating a dead horse. Okay, so it's about 8 days later. Yes, shipping has been horrible lately because of the holidays, but the part is scheduled to be delivered today. So let's go ahead and pull the Kia back into the garage. And the part just came in. Here it goes, straight from the mainland. OEM Hyundai. You can see it says Hyundai and Kia on top, and it fits multiple cars in the Kia and Hyundai family. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I want to put the new coil in number 6 where we originally had the misfire. So that means this coil right here is going to go back into its original spot, and the one I marked with the X should be right here. All right, so I got all of the coils out. You can see that's our bad one. Anyway, when I was looking at the pictures of the coil on Rock Auto, I could tell it looked different, but that doesn't really matter, guys. You could see that the length is exactly the same. So even though this like boot area in the center looks different, that does not matter at all. The length is exactly the same, and that's all that matters. Well, of course, Also, the connector has some matter. So anyways, I looked inside of there. Both of the connector ends are exactly the same. Another thing, you can see OEM ignition coils come with that white sticker on top, and that one also has an, and then on the side here you can see it's stamped Hyundai and Kia. So this thing is gonna fit perfectly. And to show you, oh, another thing is when you're looking for coils for these cars, so again, here goes the list. See it right there, there's all the cars that this coil fits. Now, when you're buying these coils, they're going to say left or right side. So the front bank closest to you, if you're standing in front of the engine, this is going to be the left side. Everything in the rear bank is considered the right side. And the only thing that changes on the coil is the location of the mounting tab. So you can see on the left side, the mounting tab kind of points to the left. You see that? And let's look at the one I just took off. And again, it points to the left. If you bought a coil for the right side, this mounting tab would be a little bit more centered. So that's the only difference. It's essentially the same coil, but mounting tabs are in different locations, so it would not fit. At least I don't think it would fit. I mean, it would definitely change the angle of where the connector is going to sit. I don't know, but I didn't want to find out the hard way of ordering a right side when I know I need a left side. So anyway, if all is well, this part should just drop right in here and fit perfectly. Maybe I should use my right hand. Okay. Oh yeah, I could feel it seat right over the spark plug, and I felt it go onto the spark plug. Let's check the connector. Boom, fits perfectly. Let me put the retaining bolt in. Anyway, I just want to prove that the coil, even though it was labeled as Hyundai and that the actual like stem of the coil looked different, it still fits perfectly, 100%. So I'm gonna go ahead, finish bolting this one down, and we'll grab this known good and put it back in its original spot. So before I start the engine and go out for my test drive, I decided to just do a full system scan, and we're going to clear the codes as far as the check engine light. That way we can start over fresh, and on the scanner we'll pull up our misfire counters again and make sure everything's all good, and that'll be pretty much it. Drop it off to the owner, and this can be all set. This is amazing, guys. This such a simple problem. You get what I'm saying? Crazy. The dealer wanted $1,300. That blows my mind. And this is why people get discouraged from going to the dealer. And this is why dealers got a bad reputation. And it's like they see money and they just can't help themselves, try to take advantage of people. I'm not saying all dealers are like this, but you guys know what I'm saying. I'm sure a lot of you have had bad experiences, and it's unfortunate. You know what I mean? The dealers have to treat people like this, knowing exactly what could have easily fixed this car, but they'd rather take the route of screwing the customer over. Anyway, so here goes our two misfire codes. Remember, 6 was the original, and then we put the coil in cylinder 4, and that's why it's got that code now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clear everything out. Alright guys, so I'm about 10 minutes into my test drive. You can see the temperature of the vehicle is up to operating temperature, and it has not skipped a beat. Not a single misfire, no flashing check engine light. And before, the misfire was more obvious when you really got on the accelerator pedal, and I've tried that and no problem at all. The car just goes, no matter how hard you're pushing the accelerator pedal or if you're just cruising, no issues at all. So that's a confirmed fix. I'm just going to continue to drive it around. Number one, because I'm freezing, my toes are just frozen inside of my boots, and I'm just trying to let the heater coming out the car to try to warm up my feet. So I'm just going to continue to drive it and just make sure the car is 100%. There's one more thing I want to show you guys that I did to the car while it was here. It has nothing to do with this misfire, but just something I did, and I'll touch base with you in a second. Alright, so that's it for the test drive. The car ran perfectly. As you can see, looking at the scanner here, no misfires popped up at all for any of the cylinders, and it just ran 100%. So one more thing is, okay, so I did the brakes on this thing, all the brakes all around, pads and rotors, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, something like that. And the owner has been non-stop complaining about the brakes squealing, and when I took it out for a test drive, I can confirm that, yeah, they're squealing like crazy. It sounded like dry butt cheeks against a piece of glass, okay? So anyway, I told him, you know what, when the car is here for this ignition coil problem, I'll look over the brakes and see what I can find. And I narrowed it down to the front pads. Okay, the front brakes is what was causing the noise. So I took them off, and even though everything was brand new when I did the brake job, I've seen this problem before where the brake pads aren't essentially flat. You know how you look at brake pads and they're cut and they look flat? Well, what I have is like a 1/4-inch steel plate. It's pretty flat. So I put a piece of sandpaper on it, nothing too aggressive, like a real light sandpaper, and put it on the flat piece of steel, and then I run the brake pad across it, and it'll show you the high and the low spots. And I'm going to show you guys some pictures of what the pad looked like when I first dragged it across the sandpaper like 2 or 3 times. You can see dead center of the brake pad that it was low. Okay, so I checked all 4 pads like that, and sure enough, you could see they had some variations. Some of them were low in the center, some of them were low on the edges, and the center spot was the high spot. So it varied from pad to pad, but all 4 brake pads up front had some variation of highs and lows. So after running all 4 of the brake pads across the steel plate with sandpaper, I got all of them completely flat. There was no more low spots in it. Put them back on the car, did not change anything else. And guys, I have not heard a single squeak out of this car from driving it. And on top of that, the brakes feel like they're more bitey. Like as soon as you touch the pedal, it'll give you like whiplash. Like they're more aggressive. You get what I'm saying? And it all makes sense. If the pad isn't even or completely flat against the rotor, that can create like micro vibrations and chatter, and that's essentially what squealing is. You know what I mean? And also, if the pad isn't completely flat, that means the full pad isn't making contact with the rotor, which means you wouldn't have as good of a brake feel, if that makes any sense. So of course, the more surface area of the brake pad that's touching the rotor, the better your brakes are going to perform. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it for this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop it off at the owner's house. I got my one wheel in the back of the trunk here, and I'm just gonna ride the one wheel back home after I drop off the vehicle. All right guys, I just dropped off the car. As you can see, I got the one wheel. Just making my way back home. It is cold today. It's probably like, I don't know, it feels like it's like 20, maybe like 28 degrees right now. I'm not that far from home though. The owner was like, you didn't have to do this, if you want, we can give you a ride back home. I'm like, no, I'm cool. I got the one wheel. I'll just take the ride back home. Not a big issue. Alright guys, so that's gonna be it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. My hands and my face are freezing. I'll let you go. Thanks for watching.